Hey, it's Kerry with Trail Traveler, and today I want to talk about solar panels and how do you go about choosing the right solar panels, how much power do you need from your solar panels, and we're going to compare a couple different solar panels and give you the pros and cons of a couple different ones here so you can kind of see how different features affect the performance. Well, right now it is fairly early. It's, let me tell you the exact time here. It is 7 o'clock in the morning, so the sun is pretty low. This is not going to give us our best solar panel performance. We want the sun to be a little bit higher so it's not cutting through so much atmosphere, so much haze. Now, I am in Colorado. I'm at almost a mile above sea level, so I should get better performance than people at sea level because I got less atmosphere to deal with. So that being the case, we're going to compare a couple different panels here and kind of show you what to kind of expect, because I think a lot of people underestimate how much power they need. And we'll talk about that more when we talk about power stations in another video and how to pick the right power station for your needs. But I think a lot of people underestimate their solar panels. And it's because you don't get 100% efficiency. You never do. I've never seen 100% efficiency. If it's a 100-watt solar panel, I never see 100 watts. If it's a 200-watt solar panel, I never see 200 watts. And so because of that, we often underestimate how much solar panels we need in order to keep our stuff charged. So first, you have to figure out, well, how much power do you need to regenerate every day in order to keep your batteries charged? So that's a whole exercise in power management and understanding your power usage, calculating how much power each thing uses, and then in the morning, what do you have left in your power station? So how much power do you need to put into it? So that is a whole other topic in and of itself. But when it comes to recharging those power stations, well, I'm going to show you a couple different options here. We have Blue Eddy 100 watt, we have a Renogy 200 watt, and we have a Boug RV 400 watt. 400 watt is going to go on our dirt box canopy, on our Gladiator, and the other two here we take out as needed. So let's go over a couple of the features. Now the Blue Eddy solar panels, again, this is a 100-watt solar panel, and what I like about it is it has adjustable legs. So I can make it straighter, I can tilt it back more, and get it pointed as close to a direct line of sight to the sun. This should give you some better efficiency in different times of the day, but it also means you have to adjust it in order to get the best usage out of it. So sometimes we want it a little more straight up early in the morning and late in the evening. As the sun goes up, we want to tilt it back a little bit. As the sun continues to go up, we want to tilt it back more. And then we need to turn it around and follow the sun going the other direction. Moving back to the Renogy panel has a fixed position. I believe this is around 30 degrees. So it's going to give us a really good overall, but it may not be best at certain times of the day. Like right now, the sun's pretty low, so we're coming in to the panels at an angle versus having more of a direct angle to it. But these are 200 watts, so in theory, we should get twice the power of the Blue Eddies. Then we have this giant Boug RV 400 watt. Now, what's kind of cool about this one is it is a bifacial, which means I could turn it around and actually get power from the other side. It's not just a one-sided, it's basically a two-sided. Now, mounted flat to a surface, well, that's not going to do you any good because you're not going to get any light from the back side. But if you can elevate it a little bit, like here on my garage, I'm going to get some light reflected into the back and bounce into the back of the panel, which should help with the efficiency. Now, if you can angle this during the day, of course, you can maximize your power. If you can put it straight up, well, then you're going to get light coming onto it in the morning, and then as the sun goes down on the other side, you'll get power from the other side. So bifacial has some advantages, but for most of us doing overlanding who are going to mount this relatively flat to our vehicles, the bifacial really isn't going to do you much good. Now, my plan is we're going to elevate it a little bit. The top of our dirt box, I'll show you some video here, is almost white. So it's very reflective to help keep the thermal radiation going into the canopy down. If I elevate it a little bit, I should get some reflection underneath. So there's already about maybe less than half an inch above the canopy for the track. I'm going to add a 1-inch square tubing down here to elevate it a little bit more. So we'll get a little bit of reflection, not 100% by any stretch, maybe 10%, maybe 15%, but it will help a little bit in generating power. Let's hook up each of these right now and see what kind of power we're getting. Now, in theory, right, the Blue Eddy should give us one particular output. The Renogy should give us double that. And the Boug RV should give us double that, right? Let's put that to the test. So right now we're getting around 50, 60 watts. That's pretty good. 73 watts, 75 watts. So we're doing pretty good. 75% efficiency. I gotta say, that's pretty impressive for this early in the morning to be getting 70-some% efficiency out of a 100-watt solar panel. Now, a lot of that has to do with being able to adjust that angle and really get that dialed in. So that is some pretty impressive numbers right there, gotta say. Hard to complain about that for sure. But the fact that this is a 768 watt hour system, 75 watts going into it, I mean, that would take quite a long time to charge this from zero. Fortunately, you know, I'm never at zero, so it's not that big of a deal. But 75 watts on a 100-watt panel, that's impressive. Let's take a look at the Renogy. So what we can see here is we're getting 25 watts. So we're only getting a third of the power, even though we have twice as powerful solar panels. Oh, why is that? Well, it's because the Renogy solar panels do not have an adjustable angle. So right now it is a non-optimum angle for the sun. The sun's pretty low in the day and it's not getting direct sunlight on it. So we're not going to get the most efficiency. However, as the sun goes up and hits them more directly, we'll get a lot more power. So there's a trade-off. With the Renogy, we're going to get less power in the morning. Just now, I'm just using their default stance. If I tilted it up to have a better angle, well, I would get more power. But I'm using the tool as it comes. So with the default angle, or with the only angle that it has, I'm going to get less power in the early morning and the late afternoon, but I'm going to get a lot more power as the sun goes up. So there's a trade-off. You got to decide whether that's worth it to you or not. Now, if you're overlanding and you're only trying to get solar in the morning or in the evening at camp, and then you're on the road during the day, well, then the Renogy may not be the best bet because it's not getting the most efficiency in those morning and evening hours versus the Blue Eddy, which is very effective in the early morning and afternoons because of that adjustable angle. So let's take a look at the big guy over here, the 400 watter, which is angled pretty good at the moment, which should kind of simulate a midday sun. And let's see what kind of power we get out of that bad boy. So here we're getting a little over 200 watts. So that's pretty darn good for being in the morning. Now, I'd like to see that higher, considering the Blue Eddies were doing 75% efficiency this early. On this guy, I'm getting 50% efficiency. So not horrible by any stretch, but still that Blue Eddy efficiency is pretty darn good. However, if I'm only charging something like this, maybe I only need this much power to keep things charged. And when the sun is in a better position, well, these 400 watts, even if I'm only getting 50%, 60%, 70% efficiency, that's going to be a lot of power. So you can see it's really not cut and dry. 100 watts not going to give you 100 watt, a 200 isn't going to give you 200, 400 is not going to give you 400 watts. But different panels at different situations are going to give you different levels of efficiency. So I wish I could just say, this is the best solar panel, but it's just not that easy. You need to do the research, figure out what works best in your situation. If you're sitting at camp all day, well then the Renogy is probably going to be your best bet. Money and efficiency and the amount of power that it can generate over the course of a day is going to exceed the Blue Eddy. The Blue Eddy is going to do good in those early morning, late afternoon. I mean, it's going to be good all day long as you adjust it, but because of that adjusting angle, it's going to do really well in the morning and evening, where the Renogy, unless you were sitting there trying to figure out how to angle it better, is not going to be as good. And something as big as the Boug RV panel, well, now that's only going to be as good as your angle as well. Now, on our canopy, it's going to be sitting flat. So it's not going to get good sun in the morning or in the afternoon. It's only going to get good sun midday, or I have to open the canopy so that the panels are in an angle and angle it towards the sun. So if I park facing east at night, well then in the morning, I'm going to get some really good sunlight on this. But in the afternoon, I'm going to get nothing, because now there's no sun that's going to be hitting it without me physically turning the Gladiator around so that the panels face the sun. So there's a lot to consider when you're picking out your solar panels. And like I said, this video was purely just to bring up the topic and get you thinking about what to do and how to do it to best suit your situation. My situation may not be yours or someone else's or hardly anybody's. Who knows, right? Everybody's situation is unique to themselves. So figure out what's going to work best for you, do the research, and then pick out the panels that are going to work best in your situation. That's the best advice I can give. So that's my take on solar panels. Next time, I'm going to talk about power stations and how to go about figuring out what size power station is going to be best for your needs. So until then, thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure and like this video. Subscribe if you like our content. We really appreciate it. Thanks to all the Patreons out there who help support us. Really appreciate that. And don't forget our sponsors. Check their products out and let them know if something that you like. So thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe out there. We'll see you on the trails.